Hey everybody, Rob with WePayOffDebt.ca. I'm going to address the question today. I need new tires. What do I do? Okay. Now, of course, the place this comes up the most is when you're broke, but this is going to be some advice that'll work for everybody. Okay. And we did this both when we were broke and when we've actually gotten to baby steps 4, 5, and 6. So yeah. Hope you found this useful. So before I get into that, please do subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so you get notifications when new videos come out. So let's jump into it. So first off, the number one requirement if you're going to buy new tires for a vehicle is gotta be pay cash. I will never, ever, ever tell you to go into debt. And that includes if your province actually has a plan to finance you tires. So in Manitoba, the Manitoba Public Insurance has actually come out with a way to finance your tires. And what I found actually coaching people is that people even forget that that's debt. You are financing your tires. They are making money on you on interest for the sake of tires. It's not a good plan. Don't do it, okay? Always, always, always pay cash for whatever you do. And that's regardless of what baby step you are and regardless of how much or how little money you have. I will push you to pay cash every single time. And yes, it's doable. And we're going to talk about how in this video. So number one, pay cash. Number two, ask the question, is it an emergency? Do I, as an emergency, need these tires? Okay. So what does this look like? Well, for instance, if you are driving around and you get a flat tire and you need the car to get to work, that's an emergency. You need the tire, and of course you can't get the tire fixed. A lot of things like that, if you pull into an average tire place, they'll actually even fix it for you for free, in my experience. But if you have to buy a new tire, okay, you have to buy a new tire. If, for instance, let's say you're in a place where 6 months ago it was winter and you bought some new winter tires, and when they put those on, they told you they were the old ones you had were garbage, and so now you're taking the winter tires off. You took the winter tires off going into winter, and you took the all seasons off and put the winter tires on going into winter, and now you want to take the winter tires off because it's spring and you want to get back into some regular tires. Well, that you might call that an emergency, right? Because, well, I don't want to be driving around on winter tires, but that's actually one of the key points here. You've got to see it as an emergency if it's actually going to be an emergency, especially if you're in baby step 1, 2, and 3. If you're in baby step 1, 2, and 3, and you don't have any money, and you've got the $1,000 emergency fund, that's all you got, and this kind of scenario happens, what do? Well, you determine, is it an emergency or not? Now, for instance, if you drive very, very little, it might not be an emergency. You know what? I'm just going to leave the winter tires on. I'm working at home during COVID anyway. You know what? It'll not be great for them, but we'll be okay. And I speak out of experience. We did that. We ended up leaving the winter tires on our vehicle for about 4 months after the snow was gone. It was not good for the tires, but the point was we didn't have the money at that time to be able to buy new tires, and I couldn't, in my conscience, classify that as an emergency. I was like, no, I'd rather just pay off the debt. I'd rather get out of debt and get focused on this stuff. And okay, we'll wear down the tires a little bit more than they would have been otherwise. They will last one less winter than they would have otherwise. It's okay. I can see the trajectory of where we're going. We are on track money-wise. We are getting to a place where we will have more money, and I can see the progress being made. So long term, it is the best plan. Long term, it might actually cost you more money, but long term, it was still the best plan because it's dealing with our financial condition now in a smart and wise way. Being willing to not listen to the people who are pushing us to buy more tires. Rather, no, we're looking at our current financial situation. We cannot afford this. We are not going to use debt. Okay, and sure enough, it really, really did work for us. Okay, so number one, pay cash. Number two, is it an emergency? Number three, find out a bit about tread depth. Find out a bit about how tires wear. And so Google is your friend on this. You can look up some websites on, just Google things like how do you tell if a tire is still good? What is a good tread depth for a tire? These kind of things, and get an idea on a little bit. It just takes a little bit of knowledge. And one thing that goes along with this, there's a link, and I'll put a link in the description here for a tool on Amazon. I picked it up for $7, and it's this little tiny meter that allows you to check the actual tire depth you have. Okay, and this I think is really, really important, because there are unscrupulous people out there who will tell you your tires are garbage even when they're not. Right? And in fact, I bet you there's some of them out there who will even take, while you're trading off your winter tires, the situation I just described, they will take your summer tires and say, oh, well, these are garbage. Let me throw these out for you. And then they'll go and resell them because they're not actually gone yet. That would not shock. I doubt I certainly don't think everybody's like that, but I certainly believe people like that exist. So I would love to actually know, to be able to check myself, how bad are my tires? Do I know what they're like? So I did a little bit of Googling. It turns out that new tires have somewhere between a 10 32nd and 11 32nd. That's a fraction, 10 out of 32 inches and 11 out of 32 inches, 11 32ths, right? That many inches of tread depth. That's brand new, 10 or 11. They say you should consider replacement at 5 and absolutely replace at 3. Okay, so now that'll depend on the driving conditions. In Winnipeg, for instance, we have lots of snow and ice, and if these are all seasons, then you might want to replace sooner because you want to make sure you're driving safe. But that's essentially the idea, right? Maybe you replace at 5 or 6 instead of 4 or 5, right? But this is the idea anyway. Okay, so that's number what was that? 3. Number 1, pay cash. Number 2, is it an emergency? Address that question. Figure out where you're at. Number 3, find out a little bit about tread depth and about buying used tires. Number 4 is find some dealers in your area, some used dealers in your area. Get it, even if you're not going to buy used. I know. You'd prefer new. Everybody would prefer new, but you need at least the information of what are you choosing to go against, right? What are you like? When you look at used ones, you might think in your mind, oh, they're going to last me 1 year and they're going to cost me $400, whereas brand new ones will cost me $600, and so it's not worth it. I just go get the new ones. That might be true and that might not be true, and that's the important thing. Find out the truth. Actually find some places to call around in your city, call around in your area, and ask, okay, how much are some used tires? Go ahead and put that in the comments even in this video. I would love to hear what new tires or what used tires are in your area, how much they cost. For me, I called around, and for my vehicles, it was about $300 for a set of 4 or $50 for an individual one. Okay, now that doesn't work, but the $50 was one where they didn't have a set of 4, right? So for a set of 4, they charge a little bit more because that's what most people are looking for. So it was $300, and that's no rims. And that is actually the next thing is, number 5, do you actually need rims? Okay. Do you actually want rims? And that's not an obvious question. So rims, if you're not aware, I'm not a supercar guy, but I had to do some research and figure this out. So the rim, that's the part in the middle. The tire is the part out here. Okay. The tire is the rubber part. That's the part that actually touches the road. The rim is what the tire holds onto. Okay. Some real technical terms here. I know. So what this is, so the rim is just a piece of metal, right? But it's a specific piece of metal. It's the size of it has to be for your vehicle. The size of it has to be for your tire, all these different things. So the sizing is very, very important. Yeah. And I would encourage you to do some research into what the size of your tire is and things like this. But rims are not cheap. So I did some research. I found that some steel rims, some basic cheap steel rims went for about $70 each. Okay. So that's not cheap. Now, when we were getting out of debt, what we decided to do was not get rims. And you're like, what? Why would you not get rims? Well, $70 each times 4 is $280 plus tax. We're talking about a $300 purchase that I didn't have to do. Instead, what we did is we transferred the tires from, we transferred the summer tires or the all season tires to off the rims and put winter tires on the rims. And that costs about $100 or $80, somewhere in that range to transfer them off. Okay. So that saved us some substantial money that we didn't. Now in the long term, it didn't. But at the time, we were dealing with our finances. We were focused on the debt. We were being able to hammer debt and the added oomph we got by focusing entirely on the debt with that. Huge. It got us out of debt. That's what got us out of debt. Refusing to buy things that we didn't need. Actual need. We did not need rims. Okay. Now, actually, once we got out of debt, baby step 4, 5, and 6, the last time I bought tires, I actually did buy some new rims because now I'm trying to invest and make sure that in the long term, we're saving good money. Okay. So that's question number 5. Do you need rims? So question number 1, issue number 1, pay cash. Issue number 2, is it an emergency? Do we really need this right now? Or is it just something we would prefer and we'd rather have it? Yeah. And related to that is number 3, learn some info about tread depth. What are your actual treads like? Are they a 6 out of 32? Is that's getting close to replacement? Or are they a 4 out of 32? We absolutely need to replace these, right? Number 4, find some dealers in your area. Get an idea of what used prices actually are. Number 5, do you need rims? Do you want rims? Is rims a want or a need? Very, very important question, because then again, you can ask that question, okay, that's $300. Am I willing to choose to go without that want and put that money towards debt? You see what I mean? Right? You can actually ask that question rather than just say, oh, I guess that's what they cost, right? Right? You can actually consciously make that choice with your money. And now, number 6, now that you've got some information behind you, number 6 is watch out for deals. And this is absolutely what we did. We knew we were going to buy them. We didn't buy them right away at the first place. We started gathering information. He with the most information wins, okay? So we started gathering some information, and sure enough, about maybe 6 weeks after we started, maybe 8 weeks, somewhere in that range, after we started gathering information, we saw an ad on Facebook for brand new tires for $400. Now, they were not the highest quality of tires, and I'm sure I'm going to get new ones in the future at some point, but they're going to do us for quite a few years, and that was awesome. $400. I knew at that point, because I knew what new tires were actually going for. So I knew that when I saw a deal for $400, I got to jump on it. And sure enough, it was a one-day sale. It was only that day. It was only that type of shipment and stuff like that. And so I went in, bought them, and it was all good. And on the way home, come to think of it, I actually bought some winter tires that day for my wife's vehicle, and that was those were used. We found them on Kijiji and literally bought them on the way home. So, yeah. Lastly, now number 7, now that you've actually made some choices and you've looked at the situation, you've found a good deal, now you budget it. You choose what month you're going to actually spend that money, where that money's coming from. Is it coming from your emergency fund because it's an emergency, or is it coming from savings that you saved up? But you're budgeting that money in, you're spending it purposely, consciously, on purpose, and you might be budgeting as well the rims, as I mentioned, if you choose to buy rims. And lastly, the money to put the tires actually on the rims. This is something that I missed the first time, is I didn't realize, oh yeah, I guess there's going to be a cost for that, isn't it? And sure enough, for me, Googling around a little bit and looking around a little bit, it seemed like $25 per tire was fairly normal to get that done, to actually put tires onto the rim. So it's another $100 plus tax on top of that. Okay, so when it comes down to this, you can actually consciously make that decision. Go slow, be intentional, act like this is your responsibility. God has given you this money and these resources and these vehicles and these opportunities to actually put your responsibility on. Like, he's giving you the responsibility, not me, not anybody else, you. So you get to be the one who actually puts in the effort and says, okay, what am I going to do with this? Let's be conscious with this. Don't just let somebody tell you, hey, you need new tires, they cost $1,200, here you go. No, look into it, ask questions, okay? Dig in. You can totally do this. This is totally in your wheelhouse. This does not take a master's or a PhD in tires. This just takes some intentionality and some desire to be responsible with God's resources. So I hope that brings you some value today. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know, again, what your tire tread depth is. I would love to know, and how much they cost used right now in your area. Please go ahead and comment here. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one. We'll talk to you again.